usa ka oras ka programa nga mabati matag alas 8 hangtod sa alas 9 sa buntag, Lunes hangtod sa adlaw nga Biyag, dinhi sa Radyo Sakto Pagadian DXMB FM sa Malindang Broadcasting Network Corporation. Deped Pagadian, edukasyon sa kabataan.
Alright, maayong buntag sa tanan nato mga tigpaminaw no. Lunes na usab. Ania na usab kami ang inyuhang mga higala dinhi sa kahanginan. Cheryl Gansubin kauban sa ako ang partner, sir.
Good morning diha Pagadian City. Good morning sa tanang tigpaminaw. Good morning diha sa ato ang mga staff diha sa Division Office for Pagadian City. Good morning, Ma'am Che.
Yes, good morning. Ani ana pud usab kita karon no sa lain nga segment sa ato ang programa dinhi sa DepEd sa Pagadian, edukasyon sa kahanginan dinhi lamang nato mabati sa ato ang paboritong estasyon 104.7 Malindang Broadcasting Network Radyo Sakto. Og maayong buntag sa ato ang mga partners karong buntaga diri sa ato ang station no. Ani ang ato ang Matan Education Supervisor sa Mathematics, Sir Salem Uyag. Sir, maayong buntag.
Yes, kuya, gyud ay mong gyud ko anak ko da, tawag, Matanjad.
Yes, sir. Word of the day.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Gumpia sa salom. O sana pod kamalipang buntag adlaw nga Lunes. Ma'am Cheryl and Sir Dino.
Good morning, sir.
Sa atong kauban diha sa Division Office, sila binasa atong kugihan nga SDS, Dr. Daniby Cordova, CISO 6, Equality kugihan nga ASDS, Dr. Maria Colin L. Emoricha, CC, atong mga buotan nga mga chiefs, sa CID, si Madam Maria Jusa G. Peralta, ug sa SGUD, si Sir Kuya Isaganibi Kabahog, ug sa tanang naminaw ning atong programa, sa kahanginan Deped Pagadian, edukasyon sa kabataan, dinhi lamang sa atong paboritong station 104.7 DXMB FM Malindang Broadcasting Network. Mga pinalanggan namo nga mga ginikanan, labi na sa atong mga kabataan sa grade 4 mathematics, malipayong buntag kaninyong tanan.
Okay. Kamayo ha, Sir Salem ay ato asab i-welcome no ang ato ang kauban karon banggiitan nga magtutudlo sa unang panahon karon usa na jud ka inila nga PSDS dinhi sa Pagadian City Division. Ma'am Teresa Taranza.
Ma'am Tess, good morning diha Ma'am Tess.
Good morning po, sir. Malipay kayo kung nagkabalik na po ko din for the second time na nakapilipan radio program natin sa Delta sa Pagadian City Division. So, maayong buntag sa tanan, labi na gyud sa atong mga ginikanan karon nga nagpaminaw sa ilang mga anak ug sa atong matutudlo. Hinaot ko nga naata sa maayong lawas karon, dili ra niya nato kalimtan ang pag-ampo para maprotektahan ta kada adlaw sa atong panginabuhi. Again, maayong adlaw sa tanan.
Okay.
Yes.
Ma'am She, before kita magsugod sa ato ang tulumanon aning ato ang pag-explain sa ato ang mga modules nato no. Ato sang i-congratulate ya ang ato ang maabtikon og kugihan nato nga school, superintendent nato si Sir Danny Cordova nga nahimo siya nga best performance nato sa ato ang PBB nato sa entire division of Region 9 o kani dili kani mahimo pod kung dili pod pinaagi sa pag koopera sa ato ang duha ka chief nato si Ma'am Jusa Peralta o si Sir Sagani Kabahog o sa ato apod nga Assistant Schools Division Superintendent o sa tubok pwersa diha. Congratulations kanatong tanan.
Congratulations sa City Division sa Pagadian. Wow. So kita ang unsa na siya, sir?
Unsa gani tawag ka ng PBB?
Performance-based bonus. So naa na tay PBB, sir?
Na.
Wow! Murag magligid-ligid jud sa kalipay ang mga maestra karon no? Kanang pila ka hundreds nga modules nga chikan basig mahuman ra nag isa ka oras. Okay. Anyway, dili ta maglangan mga kaigsunan kay alas 8:13 na dako na kay tag nakaon no. Ang una nato nga i-air mao ang mathematics, but before that atong ihatag ang chance sa ato ang supervisor, sa math supervisor, Sir Salem, sa pag-introduce sa atuang teacher radio broadcaster. Sir Sal.
Salamat, Sir Ma'am Shik. Good morning again. Adlaw na usab nga Lunes para sa mathematics. Karong buntaga, nausab kita radio teacher nga maghisgot sa grade 4, module 4, solving routine and non-routine problems involving volume of a rectangular prism. Usa siya ka master teacher. 1. Nga ning graduate sa Philippine Normal University, class 1990. She is already 22 years in the Department of Education. She is an online classroom teacher, a researcher. She is the Vice President of Mathematics Teachers Association of the Philippines, MTAP, Pagadian City Chapter. Isa ka banggiitan nga magtutudlo sa Pagadian City Pilot School. Mga higala, mga ginikanan o mga grade 4 learners atong hatagan og higayon karong buntaga ang pagpaminaw sa atong radio teacher nga si Teacher Hazel Agnes P. Humamil.
Mayong buntag Pagadian, mayong buntag sa among mga tigpaminaw. Ako karon ang inyong higalang magtutudlo sa kahanginan. Teacher Hazel Agnes Humamil na magtutudlo sa Pagadian City Pilot School. Welcome sa tulumanong paglambo sa salabutan, pinaagi sa kahanginan. Kini nga programa ipasiugdahan sa DepEd Pagadian City Division. Atong hisgutan karon ang leksyon sa Mathematics Grade 4, Quarter 4, Week 4. Manghinaot ako nga komportable kamo karon sa inyong pagpaminaw. Sa atong mga ginikanan nga naminaw karon, maayo nga matabangan ninyo inyong mga anak sa pagpasabot sa atong leksyon. Pwede na nato iandam ang inyong lapis o papel o ang inyong notebook. Andam na ba kamo? Usa nato pagasugdan ang atong leksyon, mag-warm up una kita sa multiplication. 1. 3 times 2 times 2. Number 2. 4 times 5 times 2. Number 3. 3 times 3 times 2. Number 4. 3 times 4 times 2. Number 5. 3 times 5 times 4. Okay, now let us check your answers. For number 1, the answer is 12. Number 2, answer is 40. Number 3, the answer is 18. Number 4, the answer is 24. Number 5, the answer is 60. Very good. Now, let us go to our activity 1. And this is called What's In. Listen to the direction. Given the dimensions, you have to find the volume of the following rectangular prisms. Number 1, length is 5 centimeters, width 4 centimeters, height 3 centimeters. Number 2, length is 8 centimeters, width 6 centimeters, height 7 centimeters. Number 3, length is 7 centimeters, width 5 centimeters, height 4 centimeters. Number 4, length 9 centimeters, width 3 centimeters, height 2 centimeters. Number 5, length 9 centimeters, width 6 centimeters, height 3 centimeters. Let us now check if your answers are correct. For number 1, the answer is 60 centimeters. Number 2, 336 centimeters. For number 3, the answer is 140 meters. The answer for number 4 is 54 centimeters. And finally, for number 5, the answer is 162 centimeters. For the next activity of What's New, we are to solve the given problem. I am going to read the problem while you listen to me. Jonah gave her mother a diamond ring as her gift for Mother's Day. Since the ring was so expensive, she placed it in a jewelry box, which measures 12 centimeter long, 8 centimeter wide, and 6 centimeter high. What is the volume of the jewelry box? Unsa man ang atong angay nga buhaton aron matubag nato ang pangutana. Ang problema nga gibasa karon lang kay usa ka routine problem involving the volume of a rectangular prism. Para kini atong matubag, kinahanglan atong sundon ang 4-step plan. Usa ta mo padayon atong pagahinumduman kung unsa ang mga dapat natong sundon sa pagsulbad sa problema. Nakahinumdum pa ba kamo sa gitawag nga 4-step plan? Kini mao ang step 1. Understand. Sulod ani nga ang mao ang duha ka pangutana. Number 1. What is asked in the problem? Ug ang tubag nato ani gikan sa problema nga atong gibasa is the volume of the box is asked in the problem. Ang ikaduhang pangutana mao ang what are the given facts? Ug ang tubag L or length is equal to 12 cm. W or width is equal to 8 cm. H or height is equal to 6 cm. Karon, atong buhaton ang step 2. Mao kini ang gitawag og plan. This tells us to determine the operation or formula to be used. So what could be the formula? Correct. The formula is V or volume is equal to length times width times height, which means V is equal to L times W times H. Now that we already have the formula, let's work on the answer, which is step 3. We call that solve. When we solve, we have to show the solution. The letters found in the formula will now be replaced by numbers. With the formula V is equal to L times W times H, the mathematical sentence now becomes volume is equal to 12 cm times 8 cm times 6 cm. We have to multiply the given numbers. Now, our answer should be V or volume is equal to 574 centimeter cubed or 574 cubic meters. Let us have another word problem. This problem is an example of a non-routine problem. Non-routine problems typically do not have an immediate apparent strategy for solving them. So let us listen to this. Box A measures 12 centimeters on each edge and it is full. Box B measures 10 centimeters on each edge and it is empty. Half of the contents of box A is emptied into box B. How many cubic centimeters space remain in box A? So to solve the problem, any strategy can be used. Naa ba kamoy nahuna-hunaan nga pamaagi? Kung naa, very good. Atong sulayan kung magkapareho ba ang atong pamaagi. Step 1. We need to identify the volume of each box. Box A measures 12 centimeters on each edge. That means V is equal to 12 centimeter times 12 centimeter times 12 centimeter. That gives us an answer of volume is equal to 1,728 cubic centimeters. While for box B, it will be V is equal to length times width times height with dimensions of 10 centimeters each, making the formula V is equal to 10 centimeters times 10 centimeters times 10 centimeters. That gives us an answer of V, or volume, is equal to 1,000 cubic centimeters. So for step 2, we are going to divide the volume of box A into 2. Since ang box A kay full and ang katunga niya kay ibalhin man sa box B. So that would be volume for box A is equal to 1,728 cubic centimeters divided by 2, giving us an answer of 879 cubic centimeters. Step 3. We have to state our answer. So what would be our answer? The remaining capacity of box A is 879 cubic centimeter. Makaigo ra ba na ibutang kini sa box B? Makaigo. Kay ang box B would have a volume of 1,000 cubic centimeter. Usa ta mo padayon at tuwa usang balikon unsaon pag-solve ang routine problems. To solve routine problems involving the volume of a rectangular prism, we have to follow the 4 steps. Mao kini ang understand, plan, solve, look back. Kung sa mother tongue pa, aron masulbad ang problema, kinahanglan sundon ang 4 ka steps. Mao kini ang sabton, planuhon, sulbaron, ug balikan ug tan-aw. Now, what about solving a non-routine problem? To solve non-routine problems, you can use any strategy you can think of to help you. Now, what should we do to find the volume of a rectangular prism? In finding the volume of a rectangular prism, we find the length, width, and height. Then we express the answer in cubic units. Akong utruhon. Para makuha ang volume sa usa ka rectangular prism, kinahanglan nato i-multiply ang length, width, and height. Di nato kalimtan na kinahanglan ang atong tubag na ay cubic units. Now, let us have some practice activities. Listen to the direction. Read and answer the problem using any of the given strategy. Kani nga activity makita sa atong module. Problem number 1. A water tank measures 4 meters times 2 meters times 2 meters. How much water can it hold when it is full? Problema nagaingon ngang usa ka tangke sa tubig na ay sukod nga 4 ka metros, 2 ka metros, 2 ka metros. Unsa kadaghan ang tubig nga kaya masulod sa tangke kung kani mapuno? To solve the problem, we work on first step, which is understand. So, what is asked in the problem? Unsay gipangutana sa atong problema? Yes, very good. The problem is asking for the volume of water the water tank can hold if full. The next question that we need to answer is, what are the given data? And the given data are 4 meters, 2 meters, and another 2 meters. Next is to plan. So what do we do again when we plan? We will now identify what formula to use to solve the problem. Then what could be the formula? Mga bata, unsa sa inyong paminaw ang gamiton nga formula? Very good. V or volume is equal to length times width times height. Kay anaan naman kita'y formula, ato na karong pangitaon ang saktong tubag. And we go to the next step, which is solve. Ang mga letra kay ilisan na nato og mga numero. At now it becomes volume is equal to 4 meter times 2 meters times 2 meters. Unsay tubag kung atong i-multiply ang mga numero? Pila ang tubag nga ihatag niini? Correct! Ang saktong tubag kay 16 cubic meter. Kay anaan naman kita'y saktong tubag, adto na kita sa sunod nga step. Look back and state the answer. Sa look back, atong i-check kung sakto ba ang atong pag-multiply. Atong sulayan. 4 times 2 is equal to 8. 8 times 2 is equal to 16. So the final answer would be the water tank can hold 16 cubic meters if it is full, right? Do you have the same answer as mine? Very good. Now, let us work on practice problem number 2. A 6 centimeter by 3 centimeter by 6 centimeter container is half filled with salt. How much salt is needed to completely fill the container? Unsay buhaton aron masulbad nato ang problema? For step 1, kuhaon ang volume sa container. In order to solve for the volume of this non-routine problem, we first have to use the formula of V is equal to L times W times H. Replace the letters with the dimensions given. This now becomes V is equal to 6 centimeter times 3 centimeter times 6 centimeters. After replacing the letters with numbers, we are now ready to multiply. 6 times 3 is equal to 18. 18 times 6 is equal to 108. This makes the volume of the container 108 cubic centimeter. Nahuman na ba nato og sulbad ang problema? No, not yet. Wala pa, because our problem states that the container is only half filled, and it is asking us of how much is still needed to completely fill it with salt. So para matubag ang atong problema, adto kita sa step 2. Divide the volume by 2. Kay katunga man ang giingon, kinahanglan atong i-divide sa 2. So 108 cubic centimeter divided by 2 is equal to 54 cubic centimeter. So our complete answer now would be the container still needs 54 cubic centimeter of salt to completely fill it. Okay, magkapareho ba ang atong tubag? Kung magkapareha, ato ka ng pakpakan. Very good, grade 4 kids. We are now ready to take our assessment. Get ready with your paper and pencil, ballpen or notebook. Listen carefully to the directions. I am going to read a word problem, and I want you to listen carefully. Answer the questions that will follow. You can write your answers on the module that you are holding. We may start now. A residential compound has a rectangular water tank which measures 9 meters long, 7 meters wide, and 5 meters deep. How much water does it hold when full? Question number 1. What is asked in the problem? A. The amount of water it holds. B. The shape of the tank. C. The volume of the water. D. The volume of the rectangular water tank. Listen to the problem as I am going to read it again in preparation for question number 2. A residential compound has a rectangular water tank which measures 9 meters long, 7 meters wide, and 5 meters deep. How much water does it hold when full? Question for number 2. What information are given in the problem? A. 7 meters deep and 7 meters wide. B. 7 meter and 9 meter. C. 9 meters and 5 meters. D. 9 meters, 7 meters, and 5 meters. Question number 3. Which of the following is the formula to use in solving the problem? A. Volume or V is equal to length times width. B. Volume or V is equal to B times H. C. Volume or V is equal to L times W times H. And D. Volume or V is equal to 1/2 times B times H. Question number 4. What unit of measure will be used in the problem? A. Cubic centimeter. B. Cubic meter. C. Meter square. D. Centimeter square. I am going to read the problem again. Take note and listen. This is for question number 5. A residential compound has a rectangular tank which measures 9 meters long, 7 meters wide, and 5 meters deep. How much water does it hold when full? Question number 5. What is the correct answer in the problem? A. 168 cubic meters. B. 315 cubic meters. C. 184 cubic meters. D. 192 cubic meters. Are you now ready to check your answers? Let us start. Question number 1. The answer is A. Question number 2. The correct answer is D. Question number 3. C. Question number 4. B. And question number 5. B. Did you get the perfect score? Very good. Karon, pwede na nato pakpakan ang atong mga kaugalingon. Ako nagpasalamat sa inyong pagpaminaw karon sa atong leksyon. Nakakaton ba kamo pinaagi sa pagtubag sa mga pangutana? Akong ipanghinaot nga hatagan gayud nato gigayon ang pagpaminaw kada semana sa atong programa nga makatabang sa pagpalambo sa atong salabutan.
Alright, so thank you very much, no, kang Teacher Agnes P. Humamil. Maayo kaayo pagka-explain. So thank you so much, ma'am. Alright, so this time, ato apong paminawon si Ma'am Tess Taranza. Yes, ma'am.
Again, good morning. For today, we are so grateful to have with us two science teachers from PAGADIAN City Science High School. Let's start with teacher Aurelia Lucia. Si Ma'am Lucia is actually teacher na nurse pa.
Wow.
Mo na siya, ma'am. Dili lalim ang ato ang first, what we call this teacher to be on air. Si Ma'am Lucia, siya, nag-masters na po niya sa Science in Nursing from Medina College, and he has spent 10 years as CHN coordinator, psychiatric coordinator, orthopedic coordinator, and clinical instructor. And at the same time, subject teacher in college. So, nilalim nino sa medical course ni siya GDI. And we are so glad that she is already with us for 5 years in DepEd. And next to this, we have teacher Teacher Child Jorin F. Lopez. Kini siya teacher na engineer pa. So, he has graduated his Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering from Dilalim, from Xavier University.
Uy, kuyaw.
So, at the same time, former Pagyo DOST scholar. No? Berwil man ko ani sa mga background sa atong senior high school teachers or Dilalim. And then, 2019 publication awardee by the Kinaadman Research Center of Xavier University. And you know what? Co-author po siya sa international research published by the American Chemical Society.
Kuyaw ni.
Publication in the field of applied nanomaterials.
Ugos, nano pa yun.
Di lalim yun, sir. Kung ba mo nang di magkadima akong baabaan sa pag-introduce sa atong dilalim nga mga speakers. So, actually, he is a neophyte teacher. 11 months pa siya sa DepEd, especially sa Pagadian City Science High School. So, for this morning, they will be discussing with us the topic about buffer solution. This is actually found in Quarter 4, Module 4. So, timely yung kayo ang inyong pagka-discuss. This is intended for our grade 12 students. So, sir, ma'am, you can start now with your discussion.
Okay.
Good morning, Sambuanga Peninsula. Maayong buntag sa atong mga minahal nga mga ginikanan o sa atong mga senior high school students. This is your DepEd Pagadian City Edukasyon sa Kabataan, School on the Air. We are more than happy to be with you in this learning session. I'm teacher Aurelia Guita from Pagadian City Science High School. Students, I hope you are done eating your breakfast and are ready to learn this morning. But before we start, I want you to get your General Chemistry 2, Module 4, your pen, and find a place to sit comfortably while listening to our school on the air. I guess everyone is now ready. Allow me to introduce to you one of our competent senior high school science teacher of Pagadian City Science High School, Engineer Child Joren Lopez.
Good morning, students. Maayong buntag sa tanan. Good morning, Teacher Al. I am Teacher Child, your radio teacher in General Chemistry for today. Before talking about our topic for this session, can you still recall, Teacher Al, what was our lesson last week?
Teacher Child, di ba, last week we defined that Bromstead acid and bases are discussed the acid-base property of what uncalculated pH from the concentration of hydrogen ion or hydroxide ions in aqueous solution.
Yes, you are right, Teacher Al.
Teacher Child, what is again the focus of the Bromstead-Lowry model?
Well, the focus of the Bromstead-Lowry model is on the nature of acids and bases and the reactions that take place between them. Teacher Al, can you still recall what an acid is?
Yes, Teacher Child. An acid is a substance, either a molecule or an ion, which donate a proton to another substance.
That is absolutely right, Teacher Al. On the other hand, a base is a substance that accepts a proton. The species formed when a proton is removed from an acid is referred to as the conjugate base of that acid. The species formed when a proton is added to a base is called the conjugate acid of that base.
Teacher Child, we also define pH, right?
Yes, Teacher Al. pH, for the power of the hydrogen ion, is the quantitative measure of the acidity or basicity of solutions and is the negative logarithm of the hydrogen ion concentration. We have a pH scale which measures how acidic or basic a substance is. The scale ranges from 0 to 14. A pH of 7 is neutral. A pH less than 7 is acidic, while a pH greater than 7 is basic.
I strongly believe, Teacher Child, that our students are now very ready to learn more about acids and bases as we are about to explore how a buffer solution maintains each pH and 2. Eventually know how to calculate the pH of a buffer solution using the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation.
Alright, students, to activate your prior knowledge for our lesson for today, please turn your module to page 2, Activity 2, Investigate.
Teacher Child. In Activity 2, based on the graph, our students will try to describe the relation between the concentration of buffer components and the pH change.
So students, from the graph, you try to investigate kung saan nahitabo sa pH for each given concentrations if we add a strong base.
Teacher Child. I think our students already had some brilliant ideas on their mind. Teacher Child, how are you going to describe the relation between the concentration of buffer components and the pH change?
Well, Teacher Al, when a given amount of a strong base is added to each buffer, the pH increases. The more concentrated the buffer, the smaller the pH change. Why? Stay tuned, students, because this will be the focus of our discussion for this session.
Wow, that sounds interesting, Teacher Child. Students, lend us your ears because we are about to start discussing the new lesson. Are you ready, Teacher Child?
Yes, I am absolutely ready, Teacher Al.
Teacher Child, from the previous activity, you introduced to us a new terminology called buffer solution. Unsa maning buffer solution, Teacher Child?
Teacher Al, buffer solutions are aqueous solutions that will resist changes in pH upon the addition of a strong acid or strong base. Liquid mixtures na siya na gamay lang ang pagbago sa pH kung atong tugangan og strong acid or strong base.
Unsa man ang naa sa usa ka liquid mixture para matawag na og buffer solution, Teacher Child?
Students, you have to take note that buffer solutions are composed of two components. It could be 1, a weak acid, and 2, the salt of its conjugate base. Or 1, a weak acid, or 2, the salt of its conjugate acid. For this module, we are going to talk about a weak acid and conjugate base buffer solution sa atoang mga examples. Okay. Para gamay ra ang pagtaas sa pH, nitugangan nato ang buffer solution of strong base, dapat dako jud ang concentration sa weak acid na present daan sa atoang buffer to react with any added hydroxide ions or OH ions, timan-an nato ni mga students ha, in order for the buffer solutions to resist changes in pH. Kung ato ang balikan ang graph sa page 2, activity 2, makita nato na sa upat ay given na concentration ang 1 m or 1 mole per liter ang naay pinakagamay na increase sa pH and the 0.030 moles per liter ang naay pinakadako og change sa pH. Ug dapat dako sad ang concentration sa other components sa atong buffer which is the conjugate base para kinisad ang mo-react sa any added hydrogen ions or H+ ions. Timan-an sad nato ni mga students ha.
To further understand this phenomenon, Teacher Child, let's take a look at the figure in page 3, which illustrates how a buffer solution works.
Okay, so we have there on the center a solution initially containing relatively high equal concentrations of a weak acid, HA, represented by the red color, and its conjugate base ion, A-, that is supplied by its salt, represented by the blue color.
Teacher Child, let's say for example, mag-add na tayo strong acid to the buffer solution.
In the figure, Teacher Al, let's focus our attention from the center going to the right because that illustrates what will happen before and after you will add a small amount of a strong acid containing H plus ions to the buffer solution. So, you will see, if pila ang imuhang gidugang na strong acid, H plus, mausad ang gidaghanon sa conjugate base, A minus, na mo react sa H.
I agree, Teacher Child. Makita nato nga nakuhaan ang initial concentration sa conjugate base, A minus, after nagdugang og strong acid. Pero Teacher Child, nganong misaka man ang concentration sa weak acid sa ato ang buffer after nag-add ta og strong acid?
Because according to the chemical equation below the figure, the product of the reaction between A minus, ang conjugate base, and H plus, na gikan sa strong acid, is HA, which is the same as the weak acid sa ato ang buffer. So, ang na-form na HA, madugang sa initial concentration of HA sa ato ang buffer, maunang misaka siya. And because midako ang concentration sa weak acid sa buffer solution, there will be a very small decrease in pH.
Ngano ganing mo decrease ang pH and not increase, Teacher Child?
Because from our previous lesson about pH scale, acidity increases as we go lower the pH scale. Tungod kay ni-increase ang concentration sa ato ang H plus ions sa solution. Going back to the figure, mitaas ang concentration sa weak acid, therefore, expected na maubos ang pH, meaning slightly more acidic na ang buffer kumpara sa katong wala pa siya na dugangan og strong acid.
Teacher Child, how about if you will add OH minus ions to the buffer solution?
Okay, this time, let's focus from the center going to the left. The same thing, Teacher Au, no? If you will add a small amount of a strong base containing OH minus ions to the buffer solution, the same amount of the weak acid HA will react to neutralize the added OH minus ions, forming the conjugate base A minus. And you will see from the chemical equation below the figure, HA, weak acid, plus the added OH minus from our strong base will yield or produce water and A minus, which is the same as the conjugate base in our buffer solution, therefore increasing the initial amount of A minus in our buffer solution as what can you see in the figure. Okay, I'll ask you, Teacher Al, gano'ng misaka man ang concentration sa conjugate base after its addition of strong?
Yes, it is because ang na-form na A minus or conjugate base madugang sa initial amount sa A minus sa ato ang buffer. Maunang misaka siya. And because midako ang concentration sa ato ang A minus, there will be a very small increase in pH.
Yes, you're a fast learner, Teacher Al. Mitaas ang concentration sa base, therefore, expected na mutaas ang pH, meaning slightly more basic na ang buffer kumpara sa katong wala pa tanag-add of strong base.
Teacher Child, how are we going to know or calculate the small changes in pH of our buffer solution after the addition of strong acid or strong base?
Teacher Au, we can calculate the value of the pH using an equation derived from the acidization constant expression. Okay, students, turn your module to page 5 so you'll see the derivation. Have you seen it, students? The derivation is just very easy and self-explanatory because you are just going to transpose some terms and take the negative logarithm of both sides and up with the equation pH is equal to the pKa or the negative base 10 logarithm of the acidization constant Ka plus the logarithm of the concentration of the conjugate acid divided by concentration of the weak acid. This is called the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation.
When can this Henderson-Hasselbalch equation be applicable, Teacher Child? And what are the important points that art students have to remember?
Okay, when we look at the equation, Teacher Au, we know that this can be applicable only if we know the concentration of the weak acid and the concentration of the conjugate base, or at least isa lang ang unknown. For the value of the pKa, we have a table of values for that found in page 6 of their module. They will find their different buffer systems of weak acid and weak base with its corresponding Ka and pKa values. Sa atong mga students, please be careful lang basin mabali ang pag-input ninyo sa concentration sa weak acid o conjugate base.
Teacher Child, let's look at example number 1, found in page 6 of the module.
Okay, let's look at example number 1. We have there a buffer solution composed of 1 lactic acid, C3H6O3 as the weak acid, or you can write the chemical formula as H3H5O3 with a concentration of 0.12 m or moles per liter. 2. Then we have the salt, which is sodium lactate, NaC3H5O3, containing our conjugate base C3H5O3- with a concentration of 0.10 moles per liter. We are also given the Ka value of 1.4 times 10 to the negative 4 na equivalent to a pKa of 3.85. I-substitute nato all the given values to the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. We have pH is equal to 3.85 plus log of 0.10 divided by 0.12. The pH is equal to 3.77.
Now, students, it's time to answer the remaining activities.
All right. Students, turn to page 7 for the activity 3, how a buffer works. Okay, you will see there, you are to label the diagram of a buffer that consists of high concentrations of a conjugate acid-base pair of acetic acid and acetate ion.
This activity looked very similar to what we previously discussed, Teacher Child. Therefore, I think the first thing that we have to do is to identify the weak acid and the conjugate base. Am I right, Teacher Child?
Yes, you are absolutely right, Teacher Au. Here, we have acetic acid as the weak acid and the acetate ion as the conjugate base. To give you a heads up in this activity, the blue column in the figure represents the concentration of the conjugate base, which is the acetate ion, and the red column represents the concentration of the weak acid, which is the acetic acid. And then the red arrow represents the addition of hydronium ion for addition of a strong acid, and the blue arrow represents the addition of hydroxide ion for addition of a strong base.
I think our students are on the right track to be able to finish this activity on their own, Teacher Child. Let's proceed to page 8, activity 4, part 1. Let's test your mind.
Okay, let's test your mind. In this activity, Teacher Au, our students will use the histograms to answer the questions that follow. The histogram on the left represents a buffer composed of equal concentrations of a weak acid HF. The red columns represent the concentration of the weak acid HX, and the blue columns represent the conjugate base X ion. For the explanation, our students are just going to describe the increase or decrease in concentration based on the given conditions for each.
We also have activity 4, part 2, Teacher Child, which looks like a problem-solving activity.
Yes, this is just an application of the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation, Teacher Al. For item number 1, they are tasked to calculate the pH with the given concentrations of the weak acid, which is lactic acid. The conjugate base is the lactate Ka value. The answer for the pH should be 3.38. For item number 2, they are tasked to calculate the pH of blood, given the concentration of each acid or the carbonic acid, the concentration of conjugate base or the hydrogen carbonate ion, and a pKa value. The pH should be 7.7.
Students, teacher child have already identified all the given for each problem and the possible answers. What's left for you to do is to show your complete solution so that your teacher will give you a full credit. Teacher child, nga namang importante na tun-an nato ang mahitungod sa pH. Asa man siya magamit?
Importante gayud ni Teacher Au, for example, when we talk about pH of soil, na ay mga tanom na mabuhi lang sa usa ka specific na pH.
Tinuod, teacher child. I believe na magamit sad ang pH sa aquaculture kay naay specific na pH para mabuhi ang nagkainlain na klase sa isda.
Teacher Au, I do hope that our students who are listening to us now learned a lot while enjoying the lesson.
I am sure they absolutely learned a lot today, teacher child. Students, you still have other activities in the module to further enhance your knowledge. So please continue answering the remaining activities and assessment. If you have difficulty, feel free to contact your teacher to help you.
That's right. It was fun working with you in accomplishing the module, Teacher Au. This is again Teacher Chay Lopez from Pagadian City Science High School. Daghang salamat.
Such a pleasure to be with you, Teacher Char. Thank you for being with us. Once again, this is Teacher Aurelia Guita. Until next time. This is Pagadian City, Edukasyon sa Kabataan, School of the Air. Good day, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much, Teacher Aurelia and Teacher Child of Pagadian City Science High School. Ma'am Tess and Sir Kim, any parting words?
Kanang mga maminaw sa taga, salamat sa paghatag o higayon sa inyong mga panahon. Sa pagpaminaw ni Teacher Hazel Agnes P. Humamil, akong gilauman nga kining hamubo nga higayon nato dinhi sa kahanginan sa 104.7 DXMB FM Malindang Broadcasting Network, naghatag og learning sa atong mga ginikanan o mga kabataan sa ilabi na sa grade 4. Sa inyong tanan, daghang salamat. I always say, observe IATF protocols wherever you are. May God bless us.
Thank you, sir. How about si Ma'am Tess?
So Teacher Child and Teacher Aurelia, thank you so much for your discussion. And for next week, let me have this announcement, especially for the grade 12 students. Please try to follow us because Teacher Elizabeth Utod and Teacher Jeremy Gabang will be discussing on Quarter 4, Module 5, and that is redox reaction. So there is a continuity in the discussion for next week. So thank you so much. Again, grade 12, be with us in the next program.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so sa ngalan sa ato ang Schools Division sa Superintendent Sir Danny Cordova ug sa ato ang mga tigpaminaw, ayon na usab ninyo pakyasa ang pagpaminaw sa ato ang diskusyon ug naghinaot kami nga dako kaning natabang kaninyong tanan. Sa inyo ha, daghang salamat ug maayong buntag sa inyong tanan.
Okay, so sa tibuok staff sa RBI team sa Pagadian City Division, kini ang inyong higala, Teacher Cheryl, nagaingon, knowledge is power, maayong buntag.
Alam sa atong nasinati mga katalakay. Dili pwede pugnan o malangan ang edukasyon sa atong mga kabataan. No stop!